Hey guys, welcome back. If you're new here, my name is Christy. I'm a homeschool mom to 3 kids. Today's video is going to be all about the Curious Kinder from Where'd You Learn That? Going to have a kindergartner next year, and currently we are working through Gather Round's Letters and Numbers. We are on book 3, and so I wanted a program to use after that for next school year. I kind of was looking for a literature-based curriculum that I could use with her and then do math and reading instruction like separately. And I saw that Rachel from 7 and All teased that she was coming out with a kindergarten curriculum, and so I have been on pins and needles waiting to see what she came up with. It just recently released, I think last month, and there was a sample. I took a look at the sample. I watched a video that she put out about it, and I loved what I saw. And so I have used her resources in the past. I've really enjoyed a lot of her resources. So after looking at the sample and her video, I bought it, and that's what I'm going to use next year. And I wanted to give you guys a look at it because it looks like such a rich, beautiful curriculum. So if you're interested to see what this program's all about, let's get into it. Okay, so the Curious Kinder has 2 main components, and then there are also some memory statement cards that are included in your file download. So the main parts of this curriculum is the parent guide and the student activity book. So the parent guide has all of the schedules in it and teaching tips, and the student activity book has a lot of little like fun worksheets and activities in it. So let's take a look at the parent guide first. Lovely note from Miss Rachel, the author of the curriculum. And then it talks about what's included in this program. This has everything included in it except for explicit reading instruction, handwriting, and math. So you would just add those to this, but it is so rich. It has so much other really, really great meat in it, including Bible readings and teaching them to remember the Bible stories and tell them back. It has a really strong focus on sequencing and being able to narrate back what happens in a story. Just like in Purely Preschool, they have a love skill emphasis, and I love this, no pun intended, because it has a high focus on teaching our children to love others and understand others and like teach them empathy and how to treat others, which I love. Memory work, like I said, it ties in with the Bible too, but being able to memorize short poems and phrases and facts about our world is a really cool skill to work on, and I think the earlier you start that, the better, to be honest. So I love that she included that. Social emotional learning is hugely important, and I love that she puts this in here. She does that with all of her curriculums and units that she's made. She has a really high emphasis on social emotional learning and also life skills, which I'll talk about in a minute. So there's different books that she uses for this curriculum for this, specifically the Elephant and Piggie books, and then also some of the Kobe Yamadata, I don't know if I'm saying his name right, but we have read some of his books, and they're really, really good for social stuff and emotions and like dealing with them. Nature is also included, which I love because nature science, I think for the younger group, like the kindergarten, preschool, even early elementary, is such a really great way to start science and learning about nature because they can actually see everything in the world around them. I feel like it's really easy to make those topics like come alive for kids at this age. So for the nature part of it, she actually has done 5-week segment themes, and she uses all of the Kate Messner books for it. There's also some extra information in the teaching section and video links on their website to go with the nature theme. So this curriculum is a literature-based curriculum, which I love. We have always loved literature-based learning. And so there's a bunch of picture books, and I'll show you the picture book list in a little bit here, but a bunch of picture books and then also some chapter books. I think reading aloud to kids is so important at any age, so I love that there's so many books to read. She also kind of does a little bit of a 5 in a row feel here with reading the book 3 times in a week. So I think that reading and repetition of the same books is very valuable, because I feel like kids get new things out of it every time. They notice new things. They hear new things that they may not have realized the first time they read it. And I also feel like that's how books become kids' favorite stories. So I love that. Something that I appreciate about the picture book list, and I'll show you that in a minute, is that it doesn't just include like the same standard go-to picture books that are recommended for this age. I feel like a lot of curriculum, they use like the same books. And like some of them, I feel like, yeah, I understand why. But at the same time, I think it's kind of nice that she included some different books that I actually haven't heard of a lot of them, and we haven't actually read a lot of them. So I think that it's kind of cool seeing some new variety in this book list. She does have some like greats that are typical greats in children's literature as well. Here she talks about chapter books, and there's a handful of chapter books that we'll be reading for this course, and I think this is a really good thing, because I think getting kids used to reading longer texts, having a little bit of a longer attention span and kind of stretching that a little bit, as well as maybe not having, pictures all of the time, is an important skill to build upon. I'm actually currently doing that with my 7-year-old, and I think starting this with my 5-year-old will be good to kind of stretch her a little bit. This curriculum follows kind of a loop type schedule, so she kind of loops the different subjects and rotates them through the week. Feel free to customize that. You don't have to follow the exact schedule that she suggests. You don't have to do everything that she suggests in the schedule, but I do actually really appreciate that that's there, because I like a schedule, a day-by-day schedule. I like not having to come up with that on my own if I don't want to. Student activity pages. Now these are very highly engaging little activities that go along with the things that they're learning. There's a variety of different activities, from mazes to like sequencing activities, drawing characters in books. Also some pages in there that are like memory work pages, coloring pages, different cutting out and pasting activities. So there's a lot of really fun things in there. And you don't have to do all of the pages. She says just kind of do them as your child wants to. It really helps kind of cement what they're learning. There is a link here, and it's a web page. She also has, I think on one of these pages, she has a QR code that you can scan, and it'll take you right there. But it has all of the links that she recommends in the teaching notes, all labeled by week, so that it's very organized, which I really appreciate. And you can just click on what you need. There's videos for all of the books, so if you are unable to get one of the books that's recommended or needed for the course, there's a video link to a read aloud of the book, which I always appreciated her doing that in her other resources as well. So moving into the supplies. So this is a supply list for all of the weeks. It's a 30-week curriculum, and it's all broken down. Some of the weeks you don't need any special supplies, but some of them you will need some supplies. Most of them are pretty standard. I mean, a blue scarf I may have to find somewhere, but some of these are really, really like normal. Like we have kinetic stand, we have like rocks and stuff. So, and here we get into the book list. So she recommends these children's Bibles for the Bible time. And then here are the social emotional learning books. So you have these ones by Kobe Yamadata. I don't know if I'm saying his name right. And then your Elephant and Piggie book list. So all the ones that are starred are the ones I actually have. So I'm going to have to either pick up the other ones individually, see if my library has them or something like that. And then it lists your nature books, which these are all of the Kate Messner books that you'll need. And then all of your picture books. So you can check your library and see if they have some of these books. The ones that I have marked with an L, my library has, so that's cool. The ones that I marked with an O, we actually already own. And then the ones that are blank, I'm gonna have to figure out. So I'll probably end up buying like them as we go through the year, like from thrift books or something like that. I think that's probably my best bet, but I really like the book list. I think that they all look really cool, interesting. They all look beautiful. And like I said, lots of different ones that I'm not used to, which I love. Here are the chapter books you're going to be reading for the course. So you have kind of the Lighthouse family series here, a few of those books. My Father's Dragon, Juana and Lucas, The Akimbo Adventures, and The Very, Very Far North, which actually that one's been on my list to read with my kids for a while, so I'm excited about that one. The Trumpet of the Swan and Charlotte's Web, which I have been wanting to read that with them too, so it's a good one. She also includes a poetry book called The Llama Who Had No Pajama. Now we're going to be starting segment 1, which the nature theme for segment 1 is oceans. So we're going to be learning about oceans and all the things in the ocean. And she has a list of extra activities. So if you want to add in extra crafts, science experiments, hands-on activities, fun things, you can, but they're not like required in the course. They have some videos linked here, handicrafts, some play ideas, and field trip ideas. So these are all kind of like your extras. You can scan this QR code and go right to that website to see some of these videos here. Here is a sample week. This is week 1. So she has it spread out for a 5-day planning here, and you're going to be following these. So you're not doing every subject every day. That's kind of it's organized, so you're kind of alternating things. So the first day you have the Bible story reading chapter 1, and then you're working on the memory work for the week is like knowing the oceans of the world. There's also a poem at the seaside that you're going to be working on memorizing with your child. Then you're going to be reading this picture book here, and then there's an activity page listed called a logbook. Chapter 1 in the storm, and then your practical skill, which I love when she puts those in because I think life skills are so important for kids, even in the kindergarten level. Yard work. So I'm curious to see what she says about that in her teaching tips. Day 2, review questions, which she has all in the teaching tips section, which I'll show you here in a minute. So you're going to ask them some questions. You're going to read the nature story, the Over and Under the Waves, chapter 2, and there's a maze activity page, and then you're going to read a poem from the poetry book. Day 3, you're reading chapter 1 from the Bible story, and then you're introducing your sequence 1 card. So this is your Bible memory work that your kid's going to be working on. And for nature, you're reading about bat stars, and then you're watching a video, and there's an activity page. You're going to read Hello Lighthouse again, and then there's a sensory play activity, chapter 3 of the storm, and then it says if you're feeling extra, choose something from here to do. Day 4, parent tells the story, and then you're still working on your memory stuff. And then here, are you ready to play outside? So this is social emotional learning. So this is the first Piggy book you're reading, Elephant and Piggy. And then you're reading chapter 4 in the storm, and a motor skill is the focus for this day. So you're playing Frisbee. Child tells the story. So parents telling the story of what happened that we read, child tells the story back. That's such a good skill to work on. You're reading Hello Lighthouse again for this day. Chapter 5 in the storm, and then it's a love skill focus. Look around for something someone made, ask about how and why they made it. So kind of caring and taking interest in people, which I think is super, super sweet. Okay, so at the end of each week, they have these teaching notes, which I love. So they give you a Bible note on everything, like how to teach it, print and laminate, tells you what to do, all sorts of stuff. And then here's the memory work. The At the Seaside poem is here. Complete map activity page. So this is about the 5 oceans. There's a song too linked. Are You Ready to Play Outside is an Elephant Piggy book, and you're discussing like your emotions and why they're feeling certain things inside that story. Over and Under the Waves, and then there's an art activity that you can do as well. And then some blurbs about Hello Lighthouse. So there's some discussion questions like, what do they think? What do you think this means? Point certain things out inside the book. And then it talks about the logbook activity, which is a student activity page. So it gives you a little summary on that. Sensory play activity summary. And then there's some questions about the storm. So to ask your kid so that they're really comprehending what you're reading to them, which is a really high focus from what I found looking through this curriculum. Like, she focuses a lot on comprehension, and that is like a really major focus for this kinder curriculum is comprehension. And I think that that's really important because at this age, they, stretching them a little bit, stretching them to kind of retain details of what is being read and talked and spoken with them, I think is really, really cool. And then it talks about your yard work here. And then we get into week 2. And it's laid out in a similar way. There's different activities that you're doing, but you're doing a practical skill, you're doing poetry, your extra motor skill and love skill, and then all of these are alternated as well. And then you have your teaching notes. So that's literally how this curriculum goes, is it has your schedule, what you're doing every day, and then your teaching notes, which are very thorough, which I appreciate because I think there's a lot in here that I wouldn't necessarily have thought to ask my kids or even do with my kids to really help hone those skills. So I appreciate how explicit this is. Like I said, feel free to customize it how you want. If there's something you want to skip, if there's something you want to change, like, you could totally do that with any curriculum, not just this one. Yeah, so that's the teacher's guide in a nutshell. Okay, moving into the student activity book. So this is a big file. There's like 170 something pages, I think. I actually have to fix the binding on this because it's not it's not finished. But such a beautiful cover, by the way. I believe her sister designed the artwork in these, and she did an amazing job. But here's like a sample of an activity page. This is Oceans of the World. So they give you a map of the world and then different cutouts to label the oceans. And I love that. I am definitely someone sometimes that can underestimate what my kids can do at a kindergarten level. And I feel like this curriculum will challenge my daughter a little bit in a good way. And I think it will challenge most kindergartners in a really good way, exposing them to more advanced information that you wouldn't necessarily focus on at this age, and just watching them soak it in. And I just love that so much. So I appreciate that there's some challenging things in there. Here's a poem called At the Seaside. And then it looks like some checkers we're going to be playing. Here's the logbook page that was mentioned in the teaching notes. There's a little coloring starfish scene, and you're going to be cutting out the starfish and putting them on there. Different starfish facts to work on memory work with your kid. If your kid is able to write their letters at this age, you could totally use like one of these facts as a copy work or something. Like my 7-year-old would love that. Here's a maze that they get to do. These are summary statements, so they want you to discuss the statements and then have your kid draw things to go with it. So God is our creator, so they could draw a picture of God here, or like the creation of the world, or whatever they visualize. Starfish eat both plants and small animals. Draw a starfish eating something. I love that like statement to drawing connection. My daughter loves to draw pictures in color, so this will be right up her alley. Then they expose them to some true and false things, which I think is kind of cool. So different things you learn about pelicans, if the statement's true or false. Here she's exposing them to a little bit of a character story map situation, which I love. So you're introduced to these characters in the story, and she wants your child to draw these characters and what they think they look like based on what the story's saying and just how the story's describing them. Cut and paste things. Oh, rhyming words. And then what is this one? Cutouts. Oh, compare and contrast different things. Sequencing, which is important, and like I said, I have very high emphasis of that in this curriculum. Puzzle, that's fun.
This one looked really fun when I was looking at it. So your child is supposed to pick places to hide their octopus around the house, and they're supposed to color it to match the place that they want to hide the octopus, because octopus have a camouflage capability. Oh, and then these were really cool too. They're like little mini books in the curriculum. So your child would cut these out and color them if they wanted to and put them together and make a little book that they can collect at the end. There's a little memory verse, problem solving. That's a huge thing for kids this age. Then they're labeling the continents of the world. Again, challenging for a kindergartner, but in like a really good way. Give you a little flip through here of some of the stuff inside. There's so much like richness and goodness in here.
So I hope you guys enjoy getting to see a peek inside the Curious Kinder. I'm really excited to use it next year with Isla. I think it's going to be a great program for her. If you are interested in checking the Curious Kinder out and learning more about it, purchasing it, I will leave the website down below for you. And I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I'll see you soon. Bye.